Have you ever noticed that some of the kindest people you know are also the most exhausted? The friend who always picks up the phone, even when they're running on fumes. The coworker who volunteers for everything. The family member who would bend their entire schedule just to make your day easier. They look cheerful on the outside, always smiling, always helpful. But if you look closely, you might see that underneath that kindness is a kind of tired that sleep can't fix. And here's the thing, invisibility is not kindness, it's loneliness wearing a polite smile. And stories, especially the ones we tell ourselves, are powerful. Most chronically kind people share a similar inner script. It sounds like, if I don't help, who will? I can't disappoint them. They'll think I'm selfish. My needs can wait. Theirs are more important. These beliefs feel noble. They feel like duty. But behind them is often something much deeper. Fear. Fear that if you stop being useful, you'll stop being loved. Fear that if you speak up, you'll lose connection. Fear that your real self might not be enough. So first we have to challenge the lie that kindness means sacrificing yourself. Let's reframe. Kindness should never require your disappearance. Imagine a version of kindness where, now none of this means kindness is bad. Genuine kindness, the kind that comes from a full heart, is one of the most powerful forces on earth. But there's a difference between kindness that comes from love and kindness that comes from fear. One heals, the other corrodes. You help because you genuinely want to, not because you're afraid to say no. You give your time because you have energy to share, not because you're terrified of letting someone down. You love others deeply, but you love yourself just as much. That version of kindness is sustainable. That version doesn't just look good from the outside, it feels good on the inside. But here's where things get complicated. When someone's entire identity has been built around being the kind one, choosing themselves can feel like losing who they are. Saying no doesn't just feel like a boundary, it feels like a betrayal of the role they've always played. And that role probably earned them comfort, acceptance, and belonging at some point in their life. So to become a healthier version of yourself, you might have to grieve the version everyone got used to. Let's talk about the transition period. That messy middle space where you're trying to set boundaries but you still feel guilty every time. This is where the biggest growth happens. It's also where most people give up because it feels worse before it feels better. When you start choosing yourself, people might be confused. Some might push back. Researchers from the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that people who struggle to say no, those who are naturally agreeable, are significantly more at risk for burnout. And another study from UC Berkeley showed that altruism boosts well-being, but only when the person feels like they are choosing to help. When it's driven by fear of disappointing others, happiness actually drops. You might feel selfish or mean. You might doubt yourself constantly, but that discomfort isn't a sign you're doing the wrong thing. It's a sign you're finally doing something different. You are unlearning years of conditioning. Think of it like strengthening a muscle you've never used before. It shakes, it aches, it feels awkward, but that's how strength is built. Let's look at what healthy kindness actually looks like. Healthy kindness has balance. You can give, but you also receive. You can show up, but you can also rest. You can support others, but you can also ask for support. Balance doesn't mean giving less love. It means loving yourself too. Healthy kindness comes from choice. And yet, so many of us stay stuck in the cycle. You help because you want to, not because you feel pressured. There's no fear driving your yes. Your yes means something again. Healthy kindness has boundaries. You know where you end and where others begin. You protect your energy, your peace, your time. You decide how much of yourself you can offer, and that's enough. Healthy kindness is honest. You don't hide your needs. You don't pretend to be fine when you're not. You let others see the real you, not just the helpful version. But here's a powerful shift to remember. You are not responsible for managing other people's feelings about your boundaries. This might feel uncomfortable, especially if you've always been the emotional caretaker. The person smoothing over tension, keeping the peace, and making sure everyone is okay. But peacekeeping is not the same as peace. True peace requires authenticity. When you stop cushioning the world from your truth, people may react. They might feel surprised or even upset, but those reactions belong to them, not you. Your job is not to be endlessly pleasant. Your job is to be whole. We say yes because we don't want others to think we're selfish. We help because we'd rather break down quietly than risk letting someone down. We sacrifice because we learned a long time ago that love feels safer when we earn it. And here's the beautiful part. When you choose wholeness, you actually give others permission to be whole too. When you model boundaries, others learn to respect them. When you express needs openly, others feel safer expressing theirs. When you show that it's okay to take up space, you create a world where others don't feel they have to shrink either. Your growth becomes an invitation. Let's talk about something else that's important: the fear of losing relationships. Many people avoid boundaries because they're terrified. If I stop doing everything for them, will they still love me? Here's the truth. Boundaries don't destroy healthy relationships. They reveal them. If someone only values you when you give them everything, if someone gets angry when you advocate for yourself, if someone leaves the moment you stop overextending, that wasn't a relationship. That was dependency dressed up as connection. People who truly love you will adjust. They might need time. Everyone has to learn new roles in the relationship, but they will come to appreciate the clarity, the honesty, and the real you. Some relationships will fall away, and that's painful. But sometimes the loss of the wrong people is the space the right people need to finally find you. Let's shift gears for a moment, because I want to acknowledge something. But the cost is huge. When you spend your life taking care of everyone else, you slowly lose sight of yourself. Your preferences fade, your desires blur. You become a stranger inside your own life. Kind people have depth. Their kindness is not weakness. It comes from empathy, from understanding struggle, from knowing what it feels like to hurt and not wanting anyone else to feel that alone. That is a gift, but gifts become burdens when they are never allowed to rest. You don't need to harden your heart to protect yourself. You don't need to stop caring. You just need to include yourself in the list of people you treat with compassion. Here's one way to check if your kindness is healthy. Ask yourself, does this act leave me feeling connected and fulfilled, or drained and unnoticed? If kindness leaves you empty, it's not kindness anymore. It's self-denial. Let me offer you another image. Imagine you're a candle. Kindness is your flame, warm, gentle, illuminating. People gather around that light. It helps them see in the dark. But even the brightest candle burns out if it's never protected from the wind. Healthy kindness puts a glass lantern around the flame, a boundary that allows the light to keep shining longer. That's where the shadow of kindness shows itself. Because when you silence your boundaries, when you bury your anger, when you ignore your needs for too long, those emotions don't go away. They collect. They ferment. They start waking you up at night. They show up as irritability, burnout, emotional breakdowns. Sometimes it's snapping over something tiny. Sometimes it's a passive-aggressive comment. Sometimes it's an explosion so intense it scares even you. Your job is not to burn until there's nothing left. Your job is to shine, sustainably, and the world needs that light. So if you've spent your life trying to prove your worth by giving everything away, here's something I want you to hear clearly. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to be loved without performing. You are allowed to keep some parts of yourself just for you. That is not selfishness, that is healing. In the next part, we'll talk about how to rebuild your identity from the inside, how to remember who you were before the world told you that you had to earn love by disappearing. We'll explore how to create relationships that honor your whole self and how kindness can become even stronger when it grows from truth instead of fear. There is a version of you who is still deeply kind, but who also knows their worth. Let's find that version. We've explored the shadow side of kindness, how it can slowly drain a person until they don't recognize themselves anymore. And we've talked about boundaries, authenticity, and the courage it takes to rewrite the story you've lived most of your life. Now let's talk about something even more important: building a new way of being, a way where kindness isn't a burden, where love isn't earned through exhaustion, where you exist fully without shrinking. Because the ultimate kindness isn't just how you treat others, it's how you treat yourself. Let's start with something simple but powerful: self-recognition. We often believe that kindness protects us from darkness, but boundaryless kindness actually creates the perfect hiding place for unspoken hurt. Many chronically kind people struggle with this. When your life is always about showing up for others, over time you lose sight of who you are when no one needs anything from you. You might ask yourself, what do I enjoy? What do I want? Who am I when I'm not trying to please anyone? These questions can feel terrifying if you've built your identity around service, but they are the doorway to a healthier you. To find your way back, you need curiosity, not judgment. Curiosity about the small things. What actually makes you happy? What drains you? Where do you feel most alive? Who makes you feel seen rather than used? Every time you say yes when your heart says no, every time you force a smile when you want to cry, every time you make someone else comfortable while you silently drown, you rediscover yourself in moments of honesty. Now let's talk about something essential. Rest. Rest is not laziness. Rest is maintenance. Rest is where your kindness refills its energy. Imagine if you treated yourself with the same softness you give others, the same patience, the same grace. What would change in your life if you allowed yourself to stop hustling for love and simply existed knowing you deserve care too? A rested heart loves better. A rested mind gives clearer. A rested soul is harder to break. Another concept that matters deeply to recovering people pleasers is this: you are allowed to be seen. Kind people often hide their struggles because they don't want to burden anyone. They become the therapist friend, the fixer friend, the reliable one. But vulnerability builds connection, not perfection. You are not too much. You are not an inconvenience. Your feelings deserve space too. When you speak your truth, even quietly, the right people will move closer. There's also the difficult topic of anger. Let's address it openly. You are not being kind. You're abandoning yourself. Anger is not the enemy of kindness. Anger protects what kindness nurtures. It says, "This hurt me. My needs matter. I deserve respect." When you listen to your anger instead of shoving it down, it becomes direction, not destruction. It guides you toward boundaries that support your well-being. And boundaries create the safety necessary for true compassion. So don't fear your anger. Fear what happens when you never let it speak. Let's talk relationships for a moment. Healthy relationships have mutual care. We tend to think of kindness as this pure, uncomplicated good. We teach children to be kind like it's the simplest lesson in the world. We admire leaders who act with kindness. We measure our own humanity by how compassionate we can be. But kindness, like everything else that exists in the real world, has a shadow. And when we ignore that shadow, when we pretend that kindness is always good and never complicated, that kindness can actually start to hurt the very person offering it. And self-abandonment always has consequences. Mutual effort, mutual respect. Not one person giving everything and hoping for scraps in return. If you've been the giver your whole life, you might feel uncomfortable receiving, even from people who love you. But learning to receive is one of the bravest things you can do. It says, I am worthy of care too. And that is a radical act for someone who has always been valued for what they provide instead of who they are. Real love is not earned through sacrifice. Real love grows through presence. Now let's acknowledge reality. Change is slow. You won't wake up tomorrow suddenly comfortable saying no. You won't instantly stop feeling guilty when you choose yourself. You won't magically silence decades of conditioning. But every boundary you set, even a tiny one, is a victory. Every honest, I can't do that right now, is progress. Every moment you rest without permission is rebellion against a harmful belief. Healing is not a straight line. It's a series of small, brave choices. And every choice in your favor strengthens the part of you that has been waiting to be seen. Why does this happen? Because our culture teaches a dangerous myth. Good people never upset anyone. Good people don't make demands. Good people don't have needs. They give and give until they collapse. Let's return to the metaphor from earlier, the mask. For many, kindness has been a mask used to survive in a world that demanded perfection and punished authenticity. But when you set that mask down, even for a moment, something beautiful happens. Your real face gets sunlight. The cracks you've been hiding become places where light enters. The exhaustion you've buried becomes a reason to soften. The truth you've suppressed becomes a source of strength. And your kindness, the real version, becomes even more powerful. Because it's no longer a plea. It's no longer a shield. It's no longer a negotiation for love. It's love itself. Love for others, yes, but also love for the one who has been starving for it the longest. You. So here is the heart of everything we've explored. Kindness is strongest when it includes you. The world doesn't need more martyrs. The world needs people who can love deeply and stand firmly. People whose compassion comes from fullness, not fear. People who shine without burning out. Children who grow up in environments where affection is conditional, where love depends on obedience or sacrifice, often become adults who equate kindness with worthiness. They confuse people-pleasing with love, and they become terrified of the one thing that would save them: boundaries. The kindest thing you may ever do is commit to living as your full self, without shrinking, without apologizing, without disappearing. Kindness is not endless yeses. It is not silent suffering. It is not the absence of needs or boundaries. Kindness is truth. Kindness is balance. Kindness is courage. So the next time someone calls you so kind, don't just take it as praise. Take it as a reminder. A moment to check in with yourself and ask, is this kindness hurting me or helping me? Is it giving life or taking it? Is it honest or is it a mask? Because kindness that destroys you is not kindness at all. And the world needs the version of your kindness that keeps you alive, vibrant, whole, and unafraid to honor your own heart. Here's a new definition. True kindness includes the self. If your kindness destroys you, it's not really kindness. It's fear dressed as virtue. Let your kindness begin with you. Let it grow from abundance. Let it be a light that doesn't dim your own world just to brighten someone else's. That is the kind of kindness that changes everything. Our brains even back this up. Neuroscience tells us that the mirror neuron system, the part of the brain responsible for empathy, doesn't know when to stop. It reacts to other people's pain like it's our own. That's why giving too much empathy without limits overwhelms the nervous system. Your brain floods with stress signals. Your body enters a constant state of alert. Over time, this leads to immune system problems, fatigue, and emotional shutdown. In other words, we are built for connection, but also for boundaries. The real danger isn't the anger that eventually surfaces. It's the fact that so many kind people believe that their anger means they are bad. They believe their exhaustion means they're failing. They believe their resentment makes them ungrateful. But none of that is true. That anger, it's a warning. That exhaustion, a signal. That resentment, a plea from the self you've ignored too long. If you find yourself in this story, take a breath. You're not broken. You're not dramatic. You're not selfish for wanting a life where your needs matter too. What you're feeling is the outcome of a lifetime spent believing that love must be earned. And you're finally reaching the point where your inner voice is tired of being silent. It usually starts in childhood. Maybe a kid realizes that being kind, being agreeable, never causing trouble, earns them love and approval. If they make others comfortable, they get praise. If they put their own needs aside, they're rewarded. Over time, that connection gets wired deep into their nervous system. Kindness becomes survival. It's no longer just something they do. It becomes who they are expected to be. The question now is, how do you keep your kindness without losing yourself? How do you stay compassionate without collapsing? How do you love others without abandoning your own heart? We'll get there, because real kindness doesn't require you to disappear. It asks you to show up fully as yourself. So how do we protect kindness from turning into self-erasure? How do we shift from kindness as survival to kindness as a choice? The truth, the uncomfortable truth, is that kindness has to start with you. And yes, that feels selfish at first, especially if you were taught that being good means always putting everyone else first. But think about the safety instructions you hear on airplanes. Put your oxygen mask on first before assisting others. We all know the logic. If you run out of oxygen, you can't help anyone. But when it comes to our emotional well-being, we pretend we're immune to the same reality. If you keep giving without refilling your own tank, eventually you crash. And when you crash, everything and everyone you tried to protect loses you anyway. That's where boundaries come in. And for chronically kind people, boundaries feel terrifying. They feel like rejection. They feel like you're being rude or ungrateful or mean. Some people even panic at the thought, what if they get upset? What if they stop liking me? What if I lose the relationship? But boundaries aren't walls, they are truth. A boundary says, I care about you, and I also care about me. I want to help, but not at the cost of my own well-being. Boundaries allow kindness to breathe. They give your compassion a sustainable pace. Without boundaries, kindness suffocates under the weight of expectation. Psychologists define boundaries as the invisible lines that show where one person ends and another begins. Without those lines, relationships become blurry and unstable. With them, relationships become honest and mutual. Research even shows that people with healthy boundaries are seen as more trustworthy. Because when they say yes, others know they actually mean it. There's no resentment hiding underneath, just genuine choice. So they grow up and become the reliable one, the one who never complains, the one who always has time, and everyone loves that about them. But here's a hard truth. When kindness is driven by fear, fear of disappointing others, fear of being seen as difficult, fear of losing love, then it isn't really kindness anymore. It's a mask. And if you wear a mask long enough, you eventually forget there's a real face underneath. But here's the challenge. Setting boundaries isn't about learning to say no to others. It's about learning to say yes to yourself. And for someone who has spent years believing that their worth comes from giving everything away, that can feel like betrayal, like you're letting the world down, like you're breaking the role you've always played. Some people in your life won't like your boundaries. Why? Because they benefited from you having none. The moment you stop overextending yourself, you disrupt the comfort they built around your endless giving. They may guilt trip you. They might accuse you of changing. They might even withdraw. That hurts, but it's also revealing. It shows who valued your kindness and who valued your compliance. Because kindness without choice isn't kindness. It's self-sacrifice dressed up as goodness. Psychologists have a term for this: pathological altruism. It describes situations where helping others actually causes harm. It looks like love, but it creates stress, dependency, resentment, even burnout. When you rescue people endlessly, they never learn to stand on their own. And when you neglect yourself to care for others, you become weaker over time. Compassion shouldn't destroy the person offering it. This ties into a bigger cultural lie: the myth of the good person. So many of us are raised to believe that good people don't say no, don't express anger, don't disappoint others. Think of the kindest person in your life, the one who listens for hours when you're upset, the one who gives and gives and gives. It feels admirable, maybe even heroic. But if you've ever been that person, you know there's another side. Behind every act of self-sacrifice, there can be a quiet resentment, a tiny voice asking, "When is it my turn?" But that voice is usually silenced, because in the world of endless kindness, there's an unspoken rule. You're not allowed to put yourself first. Keep the peace at any cost. So we grow into adults who apologize for taking up space, adults who feel guilty for needing anything, adults who believe that love must be earned with suffering. But real goodness is not self-erase. Real kindness is not silent. True compassion includes truth, even when that truth risks upsetting someone. When kindness comes from fear, it chains you. When kindness comes from authenticity, it frees you. So how do you transition from enslaved kindness to liberated kindness? The kind that heals you and others. Here are some practices. Not quick fixes, not cliches. These are lifelong habits that shift your identity from the person who must give everything to a person whose needs matter too. 1. Practice the pause. Kind people often say yes before their brain has even processed the question. It's automatic, it's instinct, it's survival. Instead, try pausing, just for a moment. When someone asks something of you, take a breath and ask. Psychologists call this compassion fatigue. It's what happens when someone pours so much empathy into others that they eventually run dry. Healthcare workers experience it. Teachers experience it. Parents experience it. But honestly, anyone who identifies as a kind soul is at risk. Studies show that people who consistently prioritize others over themselves have higher rates of anxiety, depression, and even physical health issues. Do I genuinely want to do this? Do I have the energy? If I say yes, what am I saying no to? This tiny pause creates a world of difference. It interrupts the people-pleasing autopilot. 2. Learn the gentle no. You don't have to be harsh to be honest. No can be the most loving word in the world. Try phrases like, "I'd love to, but I don't have the capacity right now." "I care about you, but I can't take this on." "That doesn't work for me, but I hope you find support." Because when kindness has no boundaries, the person offering it slowly disappears. The sky won't collapse, people won't vanish. And if they do, they weren't there for the real you anyway. 3. Which are years century year 3. Redefine worth. Your value does not depend on how much you can carry. You are not lovable because you're useful. You are lovable because you are human. You existed long before anyone needed anything from you. You still matter when you rest. You still matter when you choose yourself. You still matter when you say no. Your worth does not decrease when your boundaries increase. Pakruni wa fornum. 4. Nurture your own garden. Kindness should be fueled by abundance, and abundance comes from nourishment. Friendships that are reciprocal, hobbies that light you up, rest that isn't earned, joy that isn't justified. Kindness is a river. It needs a spring. When you take care of yourself, that spring flows naturally. Helping others becomes a joy, not a burden. 5. Embrace the hard emotions. Anger and sadness are signals, not sins. They tell you something is off. They tell you a boundary has been crossed. They are part of your emotional toolbox, not flaws. That's the dark side. Kindness can become self-erasing. Bearing them creates monsters. Listening to them creates wisdom. Let's return to the metaphor of masks. Many people wear kindness like a lifelong mask. A smile that hides the exhaustion, a yes that hides the fear of disappointing someone. The mask becomes their identity. But masks are heavy, and they prevent others from seeing your true face. The face that deserves love without performance. The goal isn't to throw kindness away. The goal is to take off the mask and let kindness come from the real you. The version of you that can say yes and no with equal honesty. The version of you who doesn't disappear into the background of everyone else's life. There's a saying, if you want to know who you really are, look at how you treat yourself when no one else is watching. Do you rest? Do you speak kindly to yourself? Do you allow yourself to fail without punishment? Do you give yourself the compassion you so freely give away? If not, then your kindness to others stands on a fragile foundation, one that will eventually crack. Ironically, when you finally show kindness to yourself, your kindness toward others becomes stronger, more radiant. It inspires instead of drains. It grows instead of shrinks. It lifts others without destroying you. Because the darkest side of kindness is not anger or boundaries or saying no, it's self-neglect. And the more someone gives, the more others come to expect it. Not out of malice, but because the kind person has trained everyone around them. When someone always says yes, people eventually assume they always will. They stop asking what the kind person wants. The world learns, often unintentionally, that their needs are negotiable. And suddenly, the kinder they are, the more invisible they become. When you finally stop neglecting yourself, something incredible happens. Your relationships deepen. Your energy returns. Your voice gets stronger. Your presence becomes real. Kindness stops being a mask and becomes a mirror of your wholeness. So the next time someone calls you so kind, take a moment. Check in with yourself. Ask, is this kindness coming from fear or from freedom, from emptiness or from abundance, from the mask or from the real me? Because that answer, that quiet inner answer, will reveal more about your heart than any praise ever could. When you protect your own well-being, your kindness doesn't disappear. It finally comes alive. Up to this point, we've talked about the danger of kindness without boundaries, how it can drain your energy, erase your identity, and leave you feeling invisible in your own life. But now let's go deeper into what it truly means to rebuild kindness from the inside out. Because for many people, making that shift isn't just about learning a few new phrases or habits. It's about rewriting the story you've lived by for years.